Assalamu alaikum everyone. Hope everyone is doing great. So this is fifth video for the series of FPSC preparation. I think we already did question number 11 in our third video, and in last video, which was fourth video, we discussed about the timber, because from question number 111 to 135, I guess all the questions are related to timber and wood. So we have discussed the theory and important points related to timber and wood in last video. So today we are going to discuss and go through the multiple choice questions. So let's start with question number 111. In question number 111, the inner part of timber log surrounding the pitch is called, right? In previous class we have discussed that the innermost part of the cross section of a timber log is called hardwood. And next question is, age of a tree may be ascertained by, obviously we have discussed this point too in the previous lecture. Age of a tree is determined by its number of annual rings. Number of annual rings gives us the, let us see the options. Radius of its stem is wrong. Circumference of its stem is also wrong. Number of branches and number of annual rings. The correct option is number of annual rings. I think on the basis of radius of its stem or circumference of its stem, people used to define the price of a tree, price of a wood. Price of a wood is defined on the basis of the radius and circumference of the stem. But for the age of a tree, we always consider the number of annual rings. So next question 113. Pick up the correct statement from the following. Method of sawing timber. Sawing means cutting, right? Sawing timber. There are various methods to cut the timbers or saw the timber. So the options are, first is tangentially to annual rings, is known as tangential method. This is right. If we cut the annual rings tangentially, then that method of sawing is called tangential method. This option is right. If we cut the wood into 4 quarters and each quarter is not less than 45 degrees, then that sawing is called quarter sawing method. This option is also right. The next is cut out of quarter logs parallel to the medullary rays and perpendicular to annual rings is known as radial sawing. This option is also correct. So that means that all three methods of sawing timber are correct. So the right option will be all of the above. 114. Seasoning of timber is essential to remove, as we have discussed in detail in the previous video about seasoning. Seasoning is a method in which we remove the moisture or sap from the timber, right? So for sure the right option will be sap from the timber. Sap means, the another word we use for sap is moisture. Removing of moisture or sap from timber is called seasoning. So the right option is B. Next question 115. A piece of sawn timber whose cross-sectional dimensions exceed 5 cm in one direction and 20 cm in other direction is called balk. Actually, this is a sort of problem or multiple choice question which we are supposed to remember. We can't give us scientific reason for this question. So whenever the cross-sectional dimensions of a wood has 5 cm in one direction, 20 cm in other direction, that will called balk, B-A-U-L-K, balk. If the dimensions are 5 cm and 10 cm, then it will call strip. Similarly, there will be some defined dimensions for board, slate and plank. So we can get the questions related to these two. So we need to check the dimensions for each of these options on Google. The next question is 117. Seasoning of timber is done. Again, there are actually a lot of questions related to seasoning. So I guess the topic of seasoning is a bit important in timbers. So seasoning of timber is done to make it waterproof. It's wrong. If you want to make the wood waterproof, we do paint on the timber or wood to make it waterproof, not seasoning. To paint its surface, again it's wrong. To increase its temperature is wrong too. This doesn't make any sense, right? So the option D is to remove water or to remove the moisture content or to remove the shape. So the right option is to remove water, option number D. Next question is, based on its dry weight, a freshly felled tree may contain water. Whenever you cut a tree, obviously it is fresh, right? Whenever the tree is freshly felled tree, it contains 100% moisture. After seasoning, we after proper seasoning, we get 10 to 20% moisture remain in the timber or wood. So whenever freshly felled tree, it should contain 100% moisture. A well-seasoned timber, as I discussed in the previous last question, that if you done proper seasoning for a timber, then that timber contains 100 to 12% of moisture content in the timber. So for that, right option is option number D. 10 to 12% moisture content should be there in a properly seasoned timber. Question number 120. The curved swelling from the growth of layers or wounds left after branches are cut off in an irregular manner are known as. Uh, if you have noticed that whenever you cut a branch of a tree in an irregular shape, after some times uh, the place from where you have cut the branch of the tree, it swells out, right? And then that curved swell is known as burrs. So option number C is right. Next question 121. For the manufacture of plywood, winners are placed so that grains of adjacent winners run right at right angle. Right? What is winner? Actually, winner are pieces of wood, or we can say thin slices of wood, which we used for making plywood. Right? We put those thin slices of the wood and glued them together to make one panel of a plywood. That is called veneer. So veneers should run at right angle to each other. Next question is 122. The most valuable timber may be obtained from. This is important too. Teak is a wood. Actually, this is known as the best quality wood among all wood. So teak, we use teak for plywood. We use teak for furnitures because obviously we will look for a very good wood if we are making furnitures or plywood. So the best wood or timber available is teak. So the most valuable timber may be obtained from teak is the right option. And what is the property of shisham? Shisham is a wood which is which has the maximum resistance against the white ants. Right? The timber having maximum resistance against white ants is obtained from shisham. Due to attack of dry rot, the timber, whenever your wood or timber gets attacked by dry rot, it reduces to powder, it changes to the powder form. The cracks and shrinkages in the wood are not because of the dry rot. They are because of some other reasons, like if you don't do the seasoning properly, then you will get cracks and shrinkages in your wood. But uh, reduce or changing of the timber or wood into the powder form is because of dry rot. So the right option is C, reduces to powder whenever your wood or timber is attacked of the dry rot. Again, this is a question related to teak wood. As we have discussed, the teak wood is the most valuable and good timber. So this question is related to teak. Teak wood is suitable for obviously furnitures, because for furnitures we need the best wood available. Seasoning of timber is done. Again, it's related to seasoning. Seasoning. Why do we do seasoning? We do seasoning to reduce the moisture from the timber. So increasing moisture content, this is wrong. Decreasing moisture content, it's perfectly correct. Increasing strength of timber, it's wrong. None of these. So the right option is decreasing moisture content. Option B is correct. Winnering means, like we have discussed in the one of the previous questions about the winner. Winners are, let's see the options. Winnering means carving out designs on timber planks, chemically treating timber planks, thick layer of superior wood glued to the inferior wood. Right? As I already told you, that winnering is actually uh, refer to thin slices of wood that are typically glued onto the plywood for panels to make a one panel of ply. So option C says that thick layers of superior wood glued to the inferior wood and thin layers of superior wood glued to the inferior wood. I guess I guess in this book the right option given is C, but for me the right option is D. I am not sure why they have given the option C as the right option, because we actually use thin layers of superior wood glued to the inferior wood to make one panel of ply, which we called winery. So for me, the right option is D. But you guys can check and search on Google and do some research to find the correct answer. For me, the right option is D. Next question is 128. According to IS 399 1963, the weight of timber is specified at, like we have already said, that whenever you cut a fresh tree, it has 100% moisture, right? And then when you do the seasoning of that timber, you get the moisture content reduced to 10 to 12%, right? When you do the proper seasoning. So whenever we do the weight of a timber, we do the weight after proper seasoning. So whenever we do seasoning, we get the moisture content reduced to 12%. So we will take the weight of timber at 12% moisture content, and IS 399-963 has also defined this percentage. Next question is, notes in timber are, whenever you cut a branch of a tree, for example, if there is tree in my home, I have cut the branch of a tree today. After 5 years, 5 or 10 years, there will be some sort of dot on that place, right? And then when we cut the tree and use the timber, that dot will remain on that place. That is called note. And that notes are because of that note shows the actual position or sign of a branch cut. So option A is defects caused by crushing fiber, splits radiating from the center, speckled strands, and signs of branches cut off. So the right option for notes is signs of branches cut off from the tree. And next question is 130. Again, it's related to seasoning. Seasoning is a process of removing sap. As I already told, that sap means moisture. So seasoning is a process in which we remove sap. This option is right. And next question is 131. Plywood. This is again a sort of question in which we need to remember these values. Whenever we glue the different slices of wood together to make a plywood, we put a pressure of 100 to 150 Newton per centimeter square, and we also provide a temperature of 100 to 130 degrees centigrade to get the plywood. So both option A and B are right. So the right answer is both A and C. Option number C. 132. Plywood is normally available in, as far as I know, plywood is normally available from 3 millimeter to 6 millimeter thick, not 4 millimeter, but I'm not sure either it varies from country to country or not, because this book is wrote by an Indian author, so make it sure too. But the right answer according to this book is 3 millimeter to 4 millimeter thick. Next question, 133. Ply is made from, again, as we already said, that teak wood is used to make the plies and furnitures. So for plywood, we always use teak wood. Teak wood is the only source of timber or wood which is used to make ply. Next question, fiber boards can be used for furnitures. Obviously, its fiber board is related to timber. It is not going to be used for any sort of oil paint, distemper paints and distemper. So the option which makes sense is using it for furnitures. Next question is pick up the correct statement from the following. Fiber boards are used for thermal and acoustic control. Fiber boards are used for lightweight standing members. Fiber boards are obtained by impregnating a resin product on fibers. All of the above. So all these are the properties or the uses of fiber board. So all of the options are above. All of the above options are correct. So option D is the right answer. So I guess this next question is related to paint. So let's close it here because this was the last question related to timber. In last class or video, we have discussed about the timber, and the questions for timber are done here. In next video, we will first discuss about the paint, theory of paint, important points related to paint, and then in next video after that we will solve or discuss the multiple choice questions related to paint. So let's finish this video here. See you guys in next video. Till then, goodbye. Take care.